Take 100. So welcome to my very small and very untidy workshop. I put this video together, and as you can see I'm not particularly good at this thing. I've not done it many times before, but I was going to buy a bandsaw, and you can see I've actually got it. I've got one here now, and for this particular model, which is the cheapest one on Amazon in the UK currently, there are no YouTube reviews, so you can actually go off the reviews by people who've taken the time to write a few sentences and stick it on the on Amazon. But it comes out with overall 4-star rating, but there's nothing really to identify the actual problems people have had, which means why hasn't it come out with 5 stars? I suppose whenever you buy something which is the cheapest one in the market, you know there's always going to be compromises. So although it's come out with a 4-star, it may be because the compromises were expected and it's not as good as people actually want. So hence the review. The Dirty Pro wood bandsaw, it's a 9-inch model, is the cheapest one on Amazon, £98 currently. And although it's on there, I didn't actually purchase it from Amazon. I looked on the Dirty Pro website, and it was actually slightly cheaper with free delivery. So that's the way I went. I ordered it on a weekend. Monday morning I got notification it had actually been dispatched, and it was with me Tuesday lunchtime, so no complaints at all about the delivery. The packaging was excellent, and if you look at some of the reviews where people have actually got these things, they've actually arrived damaged and have had to send off and wait for a replacement or wait for spares. But this one, the packaging was great. So it was all tidily wrapped up in polystyrene, and all the bits and pieces were there. So the only disappointing thing was the instructions that came with it. They're very, very basic, and for somebody with eyesight like mine, they're quite small. The instructions are quite small, so it's difficult to read, and the photographs aren't terribly clear. So what I thought I'd do is share with you some of the issues I had setting it up, and my initial thoughts on the machine. When I actually got it out the cardboard box, which is quite substantial, all that was really left to do when it came to putting it together was to install the table. Fortunately, I'd had a look at quite a few YouTube videos on setting up bandsaws, so I got some idea what to expect. And although I did follow the directions, there's one or two things which I think it's worthwhile pointing out to people who may be thinking about getting one of these, which could save you some of the hassle that I had putting it together. It actually comes with a set of Allen keys. Most of the ones that you'll actually need to actually set it up. So the Allen keys are all there. The table itself, I had to dismantle the thing and put it back together again because it wasn't quite put together correctly. But it was a matter of a few minutes to actually do that. But there's one or two things which I'd like to point out. When you look at setting this up, if you want this to behave in the best way it can, then it's important that you actually set up the blade properly. So I'll just very quickly go through that with you and point out one or two things. Okay, so let me bring the camera in a bit closer. Now, when this actually arrived, there are guides top and bottom for the saw blade, and I didn't actually look at these until I actually got the table in place when I was going to set it up. But one of the problems I had, and I may have been unlucky, but this the top guide assembly was bent at an angle, just not set correctly. So in actual fact, it was very difficult to set this up as it was. Now what you'll find is around the back of the assembly, it's actually held in place by 4 set screws, and all I had to do was slacken those off and bend this or place this back in the right position and tighten them up. Because what you should be looking for is this. There's a roller bearing, 1 roller bearing at the back, and 2 pins which go either side of the saw blade. Let me zoom in a bit closer so you can actually see that. Roller bearing at the back wants to be central to the blade. It doesn't want to be touching it, it wants a slight gap at the back of it, so maybe about a millimetre gap between the blade itself and the roller bearing. At the bottom, because this is a cheap and cheerful version, it doesn't have roller bearings. It actually has 2 pins which just fit either side of the blade. They're not supposed to touch it, they're just there to stop the blade deflecting too much. So a millimetre, so the blade doesn't actually touch the pins when it rotates, but so you can actually rotate it around and it doesn't touch it. But there wants to be something to hold the blade to stop it wandering too far. Now the only thing you don't have in the kit of tools which comes with it is an Allen key which is small enough to actually fit here, so you can adjust the pins. And what you require is one of these. You need a 2mm Allen key, then you can slacken these off and adjust them. No big problem. When it comes to there are actually Allen keys on the side to help you fine position these, so that those keys are with the kit. Now I wish I'd known when before I started setting this up, was that how difficult it was going to be to fine-tune the bottom blade guide with the table in place. It's okay if it's slightly out, and for fine-tuning you can do it with the table in place, but I would highly recommend that before you actually start installing the table, you set up the bottom guides. Let me show you what the issue is. Right, so here we have the bottom assembly, and although you can get to the set screws around the side, there are set screws on the top which is nigh impossible to get to when the table is in place. So it's worthwhile getting this roughly right before you put the table on. Again, what you should be looking for is the bottom roller should be about a millimetre away from the blade, at the back of the blade, and the pins either side, same adjustment, just need to be a millimetre away either side, so they're not actually touching the blade when it's revolving. Okay, so when the blade is actually revolving, the blade is free of the pins, and as you can see there's a slight bit of wobble there, but it's not much. So a millimetre either side is more than enough. The other issue I had was with the table stop set screw. I'll show you that one, just hang on a second. There we go. So there's a set screw underneath the table which you can use to help you, so that when you're setting this up each time, if you adjust it to 45 degrees, when you put it back to 0, it's relatively straightforward to get the table in the right place. Now you notice on mine there is a slight gap, but that doesn't really matter, because once I've tightened it, once the table tightens up, it does move slightly, and that table is now perfectly horizontal. The problem I had was the set screw was not fitting entirely into the tapped hole. It may have been that the tapped hole was not cleaned out properly at the bottom end, but the easiest way for me to fix it was actually just take a couple of millimetres off the end of the set screw. Having done that, no problem, it fits perfectly all right. So then, having adjusted those roughly right, then you can get put the table on, and the final adjustments are to the tracking and to the blade tensioning. So I'll stop it there and I'll pull back. Okay, so blade tensioning is adjusted using this knob on the top. I couldn't find anything in the instructions or directions to actually give me a very clear indication of how I did this and what was correct. However, if you look on, say I rely on YouTube a lot, if you look on the Axminster video, which actually explains how you set this up, it gives you an indication of the amount of movement that you need in the blade. Okay, so mine was just a little bit slack from that, so I've just tightened it up a touch. Then the final thing, as far as I was concerned, was the tracking, and the tracking is just the position of the saw blade on the top and bottom pulley. Was actually perfectly okay with mine. What I suggest you do is turn it by finger first rather than put the motor on in case it is way out, and then there's a knob on the back which you can adjust to make sure that the blade sits nicely in the middle of the pulley. Once it's actually in motion, there's a little window on the side so you can actually see if the blade tracking is out at all. You can adjust that. So that's about it with regards to setting up. Obviously whenever you're doing this, it's a natural reaction, you want to get on there and start cutting wood and seeing how good it is. But if you go through those steps first, then there's less likelihood of you having any problems with it. Now, issues that I've had with it. Any of the reviews on these cheaper bandsaws flags up a problem with the fence and with the mitre guide. Mitre gauge, mitre guide, not quite sure what you call it. But with the fence, in its natural state when it comes, when you tighten it down, no matter how you tighten it down, it wobbles. It's not secure. But there is a fix that you can do, and with mine, what I've done is that I've actually on the bottom here, I've stuck on a piece of Formica edging strip on the bottom, and that is just sufficient so that when you've got the fence in place, tighten it down, it's then rigid. It's still not great because in actual fact it's not entirely vertical. It's a degree or two out, so that's something I've got to look at, see if I can adjust that. And you can see it's still a bit wobbly. I can tighten that down a bit more. There we are, that's rock solid now, but it's still not absolutely vertical. It's relatively easy to set up the blade so that it is actually vertical in both planes. The other issue is with the mitre guide, and these do, in their natural state when they come, the slot is a bit big for the guide and it does wobble around, but it's relatively easy to come up with a short-term solution. And on the bottom of mine I've stuck on some duct tape, so I've got one layer which is just on the bottom and another layer which went wrapped around the side slightly, and with that duct tape on the guide, it's now reasonably straight. It's reasonably rigid, no problem at all. So what's it like to actually use? When it comes to the size of material that you can handle, it's not particularly big. Although there is a 9-inch throat, so it's 9 inches across there, so you can use something 9 inches wide. The issue more is with the height, and I'll come back to this in another problem with this in a minute. But at the moment I've got about 3 3/4 inches, which is in millimetres, about 95 mil. So in theory the deepest material that you can stick through there is about 95 mil, 3 3/4 inches. However, most of the stuff I'll be using is 2-inch stock, 45mm, and so that is not a major issue for me. I have found that even with the 2-inch stock, if you try and push it through too quickly, then it will stall the machine. So it's not particularly quick, so you just have to take your time, and if you do that, you should be okay. Next problem I've got is with the zero insertion plate that comes with it. Let me bring you in a bit closer so you can see what. So here's the zero insertion plate. The problem I've got with mine, and again it may just be me, I may just be unlucky, but when it comes to pushing the stock through, there is a lip on the back end of this. It drops down, not very much, but it's just enough so that when you're going through this trying to make a nice smooth cut, one of the problems is that when you hit this lip, it can stop it, and then you end up having to move the wood, or it can throw it out. So that needs to be dealt with. So to overcome the issues with the table, what I'm going to do is actually build a cross-cut sled, so that will deal with the problem with feeding material through. I'll have to look at trying to improve this fence so that it is vertical, and maybe another sled to actually do mitre cuts. But I knew that when I bought it. I knew there was going to be an issue with that, so it's not unexpected. So bearing that in mind, overall, I'm quite pleased with my purchase. I think it's going to do what I want it to do. As I say, I've got a very small workshop here. The other thing I'm going to have to do to make it so it's not in the way is to actually build a little table for it on rollers, so that I can move it around the workshop and use it when I want, and when I don't want it, I can move it out of the way. So crosscut sleds, mitre sled, fence, and the other thing is a platform for it to go on. But having said that, even if I bought an expensive machine, those are things that I would have wanted to do anyway, so there's no big problem. I know what's going to happen if anybody actually watches this. If anybody watches it, some of the comments I'm going to get would be, you'd be better off buying a second-hand machine. And believe me, I've actually looked on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and Gumtree and various places, and it's very difficult to get anything which is under £100. There are some which, if I paid a bit more, I could have got a really big, much bigger machine, which maybe would have been more substantial. But I haven't really got space for a big machine. And some of the other problems is, you look on Facebook, the ones that are under £100, they're either, the beds aren't no better than this one, or they've got blades missing, and that's always a big warning that if somebody's selling something without a blade, is it going to be flying off at you? So I thought at least with this one I get a guarantee, so if it doesn't work, I've got a year to try it out. The other thing is, and this is something that is totally separate from the video, but I belong to an organisation called Men in Sheds, and when you look at a lot of the workshops on YouTube, you see these enormous spaces with very expensive machines and bags of room to move around. Men in Sheds actually allows me to go to a workshop which is like that. I can share that with other people, and the equipment that we have in the shed is actually a much better quality. It's more of a industrial type machinery than the hobbyist machinery that I've got in my little garage. So the stuff in my garage workshop is just for me to tinker around at the weekends when I can't get into the mending sheds. Okay, so hopefully this has been useful to somebody. If it has, give us a like. If there's something that you'd like me, if you'd like me to post more, I don't know why, but if you wanted me to post more, I can actually put more stuff on about the table I'm going to build and the crosscut sled. So if that's of any interest to you at all, just let me know. This is my 4th attempt at putting this together. Not just the videoing, but also the editing has proved far more challenging than I thought. So my thanks go out to everybody who puts materials on YouTube for everybody to share, because I found it very difficult. It's not easy. Okay, so thanks very much.